I'll say this. I personally have never seen a guy do what he's done. I've never seen it.
When it comes to basketball media and just creative content in general, my guest on this episode is one of the best there is, in my opinion. I'm excited to share with you this conversation with my guy, Zach Remy.
Obviously, like the little in-between moments, like before the games, like what are you focused on? There's some people that are just sitting there filming warm-ups, just waiting for the same dunk we've all seen the last 23 games.
He's going to stop by and share some of his experience shooting NBA players like Jason Tatum, Joel Embiid, and how he's been spending more time lately with Indiana Pacers star guard Tyrese Haliburton.
He doesn't really miss. If I had to put, like, if there was one person to put, like, okay, you get one shot and you hit and you get $1 million if you hit this shot, there's nobody else on the planet I'm picking but him.
All that and more coming up on this episode of the Basketball Society podcast right now.
I'm like, yeah, you see it.
Josh, Kobe Bryant is the best scorer you've ever seen.
Point forward isn't a position. Point forward is a skill.
Just bully ball. LeBron is bully balling his way to a gold medal.
Now, I'm all for winning. I'm all for being competitive. But you take it to another level.
All right, man. I'm glad to have my guy, Zach Remy, Mr. Uncut, here on the Basketball Society podcast. Good to have you here, bro. Welcome to the show.
Appreciate you for having me. Season just pretty much finished for me, so high school season that is. So, just living, man.
How would you describe to me or describe to someone what your shooting style is, or just what your style is with your work?
I like to give people a view as if you're there, more like a docu kind of feel. So whether I'm sitting in the stands, I try to make it real simple, like might hop around the gym a little bit, be on the baseline a little bit, be in the stands. I think this year a lot. I was in the stands, I felt like a lot, just giving a different perspective of if I'm at the game watching it, and that's kind of the view you're getting. Plus baselines are crowded every game now, so it's kind of like, all right, like we all can have the same clip or I can give a different kind of feel. So I think like kind of giving people that docu kind of behind the scenes kind of like, oh wow, like I'm there, or like this is like a point of view of someone that's there. I think that's kind of always been my style.
Where do you feel like that style came from, and how did you continue to develop it?
It's actually funny because like I feel like a lot of my work and like a lot of the inspiration that I've gotten over time, it's not really mixtapes or, Instagram highlights and stuff like that. Like I feel like a lot of my inspiration comes more so from like actual documentaries or actual like movies and things that you actually like watch. So there's like some type of pre-production to it. There's some type of like thought. Like I said, I feel like a lot of my work is very, very raw. And I feel like the last few months I've really tried to work more diligently to, expand on that and add different things. Like I have different equipment now to just give different feels to things. But I think just that raw feel of like, there's just nothing like a very raw feel. I feel like Nick in the Cut, he's someone that always did that really well too. Just you feel like you're there, like you could follow like a story. I feel like I kind of just developed it from just watching like TV and documentaries and Netflix shows and stuff like that.
That's what I love about you, bro, and it's what I really respect and admire about you being in the basketball space, because you bring this creative element to the basketball space. Like you're talking about being inspired by real life filmmakers, cats making their own movies out here and being, aspiring to do something like that. But see, I've also hooped with you now, only once, but I've hooped with you and I've seen you hoop. Like, and since I have hooped with you, and not only have we hooped, but the dude is nice. Like we played in a media game together. What'd you have? 40, 45? Dude started shooting half court threes. I'm like, bro, I knew he could play, but like, all right, I get it. Cross jabs, downhill, like super aggressive. I'm like, bro, all right. Like, all right, I get it. So, but like, I know that you enjoy basketball on a deeper level, and that you also see and feel the game on a certain level, because you're good and you have IQ. So like, I know you think the game, you understand the game at a certain level. So Talk about that connection between that love and passion for like just hoop and hooping and how that's translated into your work as a creative and bringing that into your work in filming and editing, etc.
It's funny because I mean, eh, me and Dave D Lamb, we always talk about like we were delusional, bro. Like both of us, we had hoop dreams for like ever. Like I literally, there was a point, bro, in high school. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to the league. Like, there's no chance I'm not in the league. The amount of work and the amount of like just different things that I did on that end, I feel like honestly, once I started doing what I do now, creating, editing, directing, all that type of stuff, it just really like I gained back that passion because when you're hooping and that's your thing and then it's like all right like you're not making a league, bro. You're not 6'6". You're not doing this, you're not doing that. It's like you have to find your thing and I feel like for me it came very very organically because at first it just started off as like this is just something I'm just doing like it's helping people in this area and then it just like anything else it just evolved and I feel like that same like passion that I had for hooping it just translated over into what I do now. So I think that, you know, that part of me was a big part of me playing basketball because it's like that's where I learned like if you want something, like you have to go after it. And I feel like as I started doing this, it just developed and it was just something else, two completely separate things, but it's the same path.
Go into some of the details of like the game of basketball and what you see out there, like what you're looking for with the camera in your hands and how that may be similar or different to what you're usually looking for when you're just watching as a fan.
It's interesting because when you're shooting a game, a lot of times there's obviously movements. And I mean, because you've hooped, you're tough, like we have an advantage because we can see when counters are coming. We can see certain moves like, okay, this kid doesn't go right. So like there's certain things that we kind of wait on the lens, you know what I'm saying? As a fan, you have like almost a wider scope because you're just watching the whole thing. When you're looking in your camera, there's more of what focal length you're at, what you can see. There's like it's open, but it's limited to a sense. So it's like you got to kind of go for what you're going for. If it's more emotions, like you're going to get emotional shots, like someone hits a three, it's like you're going to follow the ball, track it, and then you're going to go back to them. You're going to go to the crowd. I feel like a lot of times I like to track the players. So player hits a three, I like to track the ball goes in, go right back to the player. They throw up a sign, they do this, they do that. Um, I think that's the thing that's a lot different between creators and between fans. And it varies between, each creative. Like there's some people that shot goes in and they boom, they put the camera right to the bench. Teammates are hyping them up. Someone goes right to the crowd. I think those little things, and then obviously like the little in between moments, like before games, like what are you focused on? There's some people that are just sitting there filming warm ups, just waiting for the same dunk we've all seen the last 23 games. And then there's people that, like they're getting them lacing up the shoes, they're getting the coach before the game, whatever, they're getting the guy on the sideline meditating. Like I think that there's just very little details that, they separate people. Like, are you telling a story or are you trying to give me a highlight tape?
What's like your favorite shot you would say to get usually?
Honestly, I just like I like emotion. And it's weird because I feel like this season I didn't really get any good shots with emotion. Like there wasn't a lot of like I don't feel like the kids got upset like as much as like or they would get like so amped up and hyped about stuff. But like I think every night like I'm trying to search for a shot like that where it's like someone is locked in or like just focused, staring straight. Like when it's gameplay, like I'd love to get obviously a dunk or someone catching a body on someone and then having some type of reaction. But um I think that's a tough question for me because I think that it kind of depends on the person. Like I know Alex isn't gonna before a game or whatever yell in people's face like, "Oh, let's go, let's go, let's go." And I mean, he's for the most part what who my subject was this whole season. So I'd say probably a dunk. Like he caught a couple bodies this season, which was cool. So I think before every game, I'm like, man, he like kid guarding you is 5'10", bro. Can't stay in front of you, bro. You better dunk it on him. Like I think that was probably like my most like every night waiting for that. And I'd say like I honestly I liked if I was in the stands, I like to get it like between people. So if there's like a couple people sitting down, if I'm in the stands filming, either if it's cross court opposite side or here, kind of level with the basket, um, I kind of like to get that where it gives you like a little bit of depth. And then, if you come down, you dunk it, you get the reaction, or even you come down, you dunk it, you miss it, and it's like you get the stands as well. I think those type of shots are like really cool.
That's great stuff. Great stuff, man. Let's talk about Alex a little bit since you brought him up. Your little brother, and he's committed to University of Pennsylvania. Heck of a player, just works his butt off. I'm a huge fan of, much like you and your work, just how he goes about his business. Talk about what that's been like for you, and kind of like where things are now.
Going into eighth grade, he had tore his meniscus, and like before that, like a lot of people knew him. And he had some hype to him. He missed pretty much his whole eighth grade year until right before COVID. Literally right before COVID, he played and made hoops. Um, Ended up starting, played the whole weekend. He played pretty well for not playing for like 8 months. So he played well. Then you fast forward to his freshman year. He was playing fall ball. He was playing AAU with the Scholars at the time, and he retore it. And not a lot of people know that. So this is all before his high school career even started. He had two tears in his meniscus and his knee. And at that point, it was one of those things where, like he's at Hudson, him and Tahad have been like the closest of friends for years. The guys played together forever. And, like you're always happy for your friends, but it's tough when you're, what, 15 and you're like, all right, like I'm trying to do this and that. You're not getting any type of nothing. You're not playing. No one's talking about you. Coaches are almost like, we'll put him on the team as like we'll do it as a favor because like people tell us he's good, but I've never fucking watched this kid, like, and I feel like he felt a lot of that, which was rough for him, like even having to have some conversations with him because it's early in your career, just, hey, you know, I don't know if everything's gonna work out, but like I know that, you're gonna figure it out. You're smart. It's not like you're an idiot. You got good grades, you know what you're into. And going into his sophomore year, it was and he finally got to play in the spring before sophomore year. He was playing 17s. So he's playing up and he was putting up numbers. Like I remember we went to a tournament, hoop group tournament in Atlantic City, and that weekend he literally averaged like close to 40, playing 17s. If you were to see those clips compared to how he plays now, completely like because the system was him. The system was him playing. It's kind of interesting. But confidence high, like, oh, I could do this. Finally, like starting to dunk the ball, doing like different things. You're like, all right. And I know going into sophomore year, I told him like, hey man, the goal is just to, you know, get some minutes on varsity. Like just play, get some minutes, like see, whatever. And he's telling me like, I don't know, man. I'm easily a starter. Like I'm easily a starter on this team. Da, da. And it's not a doubt thing, but it's just like I'm like, listen, man, I know how the politics work in high school. I know how high school is. And season comes around, coach is like, yeah, he'll probably get some minutes. First game of season, he starts, and ever since then, starter his whole high school career. And I mean, it was just one of those things, worked his way up. Um, never really got the push, just it's just because who you're playing with. Great players and you're around them and it's like you fit a role on a team that they're like, hey, like, we already have, we had Elijah Gertrude, we had Sahad Pettiford. It's like we have two guys that are going to get 20, 25 a game. Like we don't need a third one. We need someone that's going to, play defense. So his sophomore year, that was his thing. Like, he's still putting up like 10 to 12 a game, but it's like, hey, you got to lock up. You got to this, you got to that. And, over time, I feel like it just, it just kind of made him the player he is. Like he's a smart basketball player. He's not just like, okay, I'm going to come down and I'm going to take these shots and, he's a winner. So I feel like it's been an interesting journey because I feel like he obviously doesn't get the flowers that he deserves. I mean, realistically, he missed that year. So he scored 1,000 points in three seasons and probably the best conference in New Jersey. Like, I mean, he's a good player. I think that, and I mean, this, like, just the media and just the way things go, it's tough for these guys. And anytime I see like someone that I know is in a position like that come out on top, I'm like, dude, like I'm proud of you. And when like, it's funny, I'll text these guys too, and I'll just tell them like, yo, like I saw XYZ, or hey, I saw this and that. Like, I'm proud of you. Like, they probably weren't expecting a text from me, but like I say it because I genuinely mean it. And I don't know how many people actually tell them like, yo, dude, I saw this and that. Like I'm proud of you, you know?
Was it the thing where it was like always there and you've been waiting for people to see it, or did you see like an aha moment or a turning point or something start to click at some point in his high school career where you saw him like kind of reach another level?
I mean, he was always a hooper. Like he was never the type of kid where you had to like beg him to go work out. Like he always kind of did his own thing. But I think it changed the summer when I was in LA. So going into his junior year, it was like something kind of clicked because he was reaching out to me while I was out there and just kind of saying like, hey, I need to work on this, that, the third. And it was kind of more like on a, hey, this is my schedule. This is what I want to accomplish. This is what I want to work on. And I think he was very realistic. Like you players, you're not going to go away for a summer and come back and add 10 things to your bag and be a better shooter, be a better this, be a better. You're not going to add a bunch of different things. I think he was very understanding because he's been around it to understand like, hey, like these are the two things that I know going into next season I need to work on and get better at. And I think that when he started looking at things realistic, I was like, for me, I'm like, all right, he's in a good spot. Like he's ready. I know he's going to get where he needs to be.
Describe that process for you, especially with it like being a family member, because there will be more camera people out there who have a brother or a sister or cousin or something where they kind of want to do something like that, like what you've done for Alex, for their family member. So talk about just those dynamics and what that kind of entails.
It's funny. I feel like that one piece is honestly something I'm still trying to figure out. Like as far as it comes like with him, because we actually don't live together, me and my brother. Um, which that's been the toughest part of it all. Like for the longest, we lived together, we lived in the same house. And when it was like that, I was not sure of myself and what I was doing. It was one of those, I need to work on this, I need to get that done. Oh, I don't want to do things the wrong way. When, you look back and it's like, I should have just done it. And I think that's the biggest thing for a lot of people is like when you have an opportunity there, you got to take the opportunity. I think that's been the biggest thing for me when it comes to him is it's like there were moments way back that I'm like, I don't have a good camera. I don't have this. I don't know how to do that. And I didn't do it. And I missed out on those opportunities. Um, but in the same, token, um, we don't live together, but when we plan things, it's very, hey, we're gonna handle this today, and this today. Um, and I try to keep everything very authentic and, real. So it's just one of those things like, hey, like let's pick a day where you're going to do this, that, the third. So for example, like we had a day last summer where I knew I was home and I was like, hey, like these 2 days I'm home. I know you're gonna be working out. And he was always taking the train to the workout. So I was like, all right, you know what, rather than switching everything up, like I'll just come along with you. And he was working out one of his best friends, Jermaine. And I just pretty much followed them the whole day with the camera. I pretty much was like, all right, we're gonna go on a train. So now it's like grabbing B-roll, getting like little things in between, like, all right, we're at the train station. Okay. Boom, boom, they're walking on the train. All right, they're in the train focused. Like I had a shot that a lot of people said they liked to him just like focused on the train.
I know exactly what shot that is because I love that shot too.
Um, then we get to the gym, get D Lamb coming in there, working out with him, just get a couple moments of him saying like some key things. And one thing that I've learned is um obviously there's a thing of undershooting and you never want to undershoot things and miss moments, but like there's definitely a thing of overshooting. Like I've learned that and I've learned it a few times. Like, I think when you catch a moment or you get something once, you get it how you want to get it, move on, scratch it. Like that's done. Um, I used to literally focus on the same thing. Like, okay, I got this shot. Damn, it looks kind of nice this time too. Like, let me get it again. Let me get it again. I think just focusing more on the moments, focusing on the audio and what's being said, that those things are going to carry any story over like oh, this shot was really, really nice. This one was really nice. This one, you know what I'm saying? I think like you could shoot something on your iPhone, and if it like brings in some type of emotion, like that's what's gonna trump everything else. Like the story is gonna trump any piece of equipment you have. It's gonna trump any type of shot you get, any type of access. Like you gotta capture those moments. I think that's the most important thing.
Great stuff, bro. Great stuff. I love it. Talk to me about Drew Hanlen and how that opportunity came about and some of the things that you've learned from working with him.
2 years ago was the first time that I went out to LA, and yeah, I was living out there for a little bit, and I was doing stuff for Drew. And it's funny because the opportunity actually came about because of his content guy, Sam. And this was just like, I always tell people it's a testament of like, be a good person, because pretty much what happened was way, way back, they might still have the feature. It was a feature called, I want to say it was like Guide or something like that on Instagram, where you could just like put together a list of things. And I literally, like, this is when I pretty much first started. I put together a list of content dudes that I thought their stuff was good. And I just put together a guide and I posted it. And I was like, yo, if you're into this stuff, like, these are the people you need to follow. And I would put like some of their best work that I thought was their best work on the page. And Drew's guy hit me because I put him up there. And, you know, he was always like someone I looked up to and everything. And I put him up there, and then we just got cool. We would talk. Um, we did stuff all the time. I was in his mentorship group, and yeah, it kind of just went from there. Like we just got really, really tight. And over the summer, he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna need some help, man. So plan on being out here next summer." And I was like, "Shit, all right. Like that sounds good to me, you know." Um, and yeah, he followed through with everything. And then obviously, like, you know, I linked up with Drew. I spoke to Drew before, and good dude, man. You get like one of the best people to ever meet. A real genuine guy. And yeah, I got tight with them, and they really just let me do my thing. Honestly, they said, "Hey, like, you know, we need you in the gym. We need this, we need that, the third." But they took care of me. Um they just gave me like the ability to just create and just be in the gym and just, you know, help me network. And yeah, those guys, I'm grateful for those guys forever.
Was that your first experience getting to shoot NBA players?
Yeah, I believe so, actually. Like I never really, I'm trying to think. I did some stuff with Trev, uh Northeast basketball Trev. I did some stuff with him, but this was like my first time, like I'd say in a more intimate space where it's like, okay, like this is like we're in the gym, like we're focused on this and that. And it was like on an everyday basis. It was like, okay, like these are like my guys, like I'm cool with them. Yeah, this was the first time for that for sure.
In terms of the details from what you saw them doing. Again, you're a hooper, so you're watching the best of the best out here really tapping into their craft. So what was that like for you as you started to dive in? And you said you had creative freedom. So where did you go first with it? Where was your head at?
Yeah, I think the first thing that I found like crazy, you always hear people say that like professional athletes don't really, like professional basketball players don't really miss. Like I actually saw it, and I'm like, all right, like I've always viewed myself as a shooter, and I feel like I'm a pretty good shooter. But like all these guys can shoot. Like if you want to be in the NBA, you have to be able to shoot the basketball. Like they don't really miss, like especially in a workout. Like y- you got a couple like skill development coaches guarding them, like bumping them out, you know, like whatever. And like almost every rep is a make. And I'm like, all right, well, that was something that definitely caught my eye, because I know like in workouts with some people, like you go in, you have maybe hour, hour and a half, you're filming, and it's like, all right, like let me focus on getting these makes, let me focus on this and that, because you know if you're shooting a high school thing, how many makes are they gonna make? Like the good players are gonna make a lot, but
Right,
like the
right.
kids that are whatever, like, but these guys, it's like, you know, like I said before, that's where I got into the overshooting at some point, because it's like when you're back home, it's like, okay, let me shoot this a couple times to make sure. Cause like if they made this one, but I didn't like with them, it's like, bro, they're making every one. So like once you get that one shot, like move on. Like that's what it was.
Anyone in particular who stood out to you, or you had a certain experience with that you were shooting like, wait, this is actually like, this is different?
It's crazy. I had a couple of them. First, I'll say is Joel Embiid. Like he, me personally, I feel like he's got to be like the most talented basketball player ever. Like he's like he's legit 7 foot and he can do everything. Like he's he's pulling up like way back, 35 plus, like two dudes on him, hang dribble, pulling him, hitting him, and I'm just like, I don't understand how you guard him. Like he's bumping through guys that's 250 plus, just bumping them to move. I'm just like, and the thing that was I felt like kind of interesting was like you still saw that a lot of the stuff was still raw. Like
Mm, mm.
I think like when I see what Drew's doing, Drew's just the best. He's just the best because he puts these guys in a situation where they're all, you know, hitting where they should be hitting. And like I look at like Joel and I'm like, dang, like him working with Drew, like it boosted that. Like Joel's gonna be Joel regardless to some extent, but it's like I mean, they obviously have a plan. Like he's, in my opinion, I feel like he's gonna just keep getting better because he has every single year. Um, I mean, Jason Tatum's Jason Tatum. People like will act like, whatever, but Jason Tatum's another one. Jason Tatum is legit 6'10". Like he's a big dude. Like shoulders broad, like he could shoot that thing, like athletic, like good handle. Um, I will say the most like and it wasn't really surprising because you watch him, but like Zach Levine, man, that dude, like
Mm,
in a workout,
mm, mm.
Michael Jordan, bro. In a workout,
Like,
in a workout, I was like, I remember coming out of the workout and I'm like, because like I said, like doesn't miss. Like all these guys, like just phenomenal basketball players. Like, yeah, it was a good experience for sure. Eye-opening.
Yeah, and then another opportunity that came your way, working with Tyrese Haliburton. Talk about how that came about and how that's been for you.
Yeah, I mean, so that was when I went out there and I was working with Drew, that was his first summer with Pure Sweat. So that was his first summer and that was my first summer out there for the whole summer in LA. And he was there every day working out, doing his thing. So me and him, we built a connection. And he was always, dope, cool guy. Um, into similar things. Obviously, like he's big into fashion and everyone talks about that. Um, into photography and all those type of things. So we've always kept a good relationship, reach out to each other here and there. And yeah, he just kind of was saying like he's thinking about, documenting a lot of his things and his journey. And obviously this season he's been completely tearing it up. So yeah, we just kind of, talked things through and figured some stuff out and, business wise, handled whatever we had to handle and kind of just said, hey, like, let's try to, get you to come out here, whenever I need you, whether it's once a month, twice a month, in the summer if I'm with him and stuff like that, and just document him pretty much. And he's kind of just like, hey, just whatever you need, whatever you got to do, like, let's just, you have pretty much free reign, so you can just kind of do what you have to do. Um, it's been a good experience because he's a good dude, it's not like you're shooting someone and it's awkward and you're like, oh, no. And, like you're cool. And I'm like, that's like he's one of my boys. So um it's been easy, it's no different than if I'm out here shooting, anything else. Yeah, I mean, crazy opportunity. It's funny because like, when you're in those situations, like I don't think of it like as the craziest thing because like I'm just doing it. But like there's so many people like that like randomly I haven't even talked to for years from high school and they're like, dude, that's crazy. I saw Tyrese Haliburton post your shit. And I'm like, yeah, I guess that is kind of crazy. I didn't really think about it, But yeah, it's been a good opportunity. I like to work with people that, appreciate me, but they're good people and like I like what they stand for. So
What can you say, like spending more time around him? Because this really could be described as like his breakout year, right? Like he was, he was like one of the top players in the league going into the in-season tournament championship against the Lakers this season, and he's emerged as one of the top guards in the league, really top young guards, especially. Special IQ, special passer. I mean, God, the more I watch him, I'm like, Jesus, just special at some of those things. Between like, his personality being around him and, filming him on the court, like really getting a chance to spend more time with his game, through your lens and whatnot. What are some things you can kind of say about him or that you've observed about him that you wouldn't have known before or that most people may not know or realize?
I think the thing with Ty is he there's nothing that I feel like he can't do on the basketball court when I watch him. Um, and I mean, I don't know, that might not be the most like exciting answer, but like I genuinely feel like if he wanted to go out and average 35 a game, he could. And I think that that's something, it's a little bit different than how he plays now, and how he plays now is leading to wins and stuff like that. But he's he's a bucket, like, and I know people always like come at like his shooting form and things like that, but even that, funny enough, actually, I would say that he's the best shooter I've ever been around, ever seen. I would say easily.
Really? What makes him that?
He doesn't really miss. If I had to put, like, if there was one person to put, like, okay, you get one shot and you hit and you get $1 million, you hit this shot, there's nobody else on the planet I'm picking but him. He hits shots, like, especially in moments like that where it's like the pressure's on, he's hitting the shot. Like, I've seen it in workouts. I've seen it like with anything where it's like, all right, like,
even the All-Star game. I mean, it's the All-Star game, but like it's in his city. He's the one with kind of the most pressure to perform if there's any pressure. And I mean, but like he came out shooting from everywhere. It was like, yo, like, okay.
He can really shoot the basketball. Like, I don't know. I feel like the way he plays is he's gonna like I said, I think he's one of those guys that like he's not in his prime. He's like he's got years to go. And when he hits that, it's over because like there's nothing that he won't be able to do. Like he's got the height, he's got the length, he's got the IQ, he's got the ability to shoot, he can get in the paint, he has the pace. Like it's over. He's I think he's gonna like I already think he's the best point guard in the league, but I think he's gonna be like one of those guys. Like he could win a championship.
Yeah, he's special, bro. I mean, the to see him shooting the ball the way he did, like showing how well he can shoot the ball now and score the ball. Along with, again, what really stood out to me when I started watching him more was just the special passing and IQ. So the fact that he's setting the table at an elite level and now shooting and scoring at an elite level, that is a deadly combination. And even as you were describing him, bro, until we get to like the passing and the setting the table part, a lot of those traits you were using, reminded me of another guard, a young guard. Like there's so much crazy young talent coming up in the NBA. Everyone's talking about who's going to be the next face and all that. Like I don't even know how to pick. There's too much talent. We don't know who's going to win, who's going to be what. You got De'Aaron Fox, but Shea. It sounded like a lot of those traits you used were also describing Shea, which is crazy. It's Shea and Ty, I think, is a very interesting kind of side by side right now, but and not to like compare or say who's better or anything, because we love both, we can appreciate both, but I do like looking at kind of like the crop of like these young elite guards coming up and seeing who's gonna separate themselves, right? Like, dude, Jamal Murray's got Jokic. Jamal Murray is living real well, and he's nice. Like we got to talk about Jamal Murray more because like now he's winning. So not only is he nice, but he's ahead of the curve because he's starting to get rings now. Again, he's got Jokic, but like, these guys are going to have to start catching up. I do think Hallie is a championship point guard. I do see that in his future. And you have so much dynamic, hard to figure out, versatile, right? Like crazy talent coming up in the league right now. And like, I love that Hallie has put himself like deservingly right into that mix now.
The talent in the league now it's crazy. I mean, even the teams in general, I would just say like this got to be like the most fun the NBA has been in a long time, in my opinion. because like I feel like it's pretty wide open right now. Like, um, I mean, even like us, like we're local to it, but like the Knicks are competitive, man. Like
Yeah.
that's fun, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like the league right now, I just feel like it's in such a good place. And I mean, like you even think about like Wembanyama, like how he's a rookie, he's doing. You got Chet, like I just think there's so many pieces that like I'm excited to see where the NBA is headed.
I want to ask you something, Zach, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I think I saw this right. Did I see you declare that Cooper Flagg is the best high school basketball player you've ever seen?
All right, so here's the thing, right? And since then I've really thought on it, and I feel like I've changed my mind. But I'll say this. I personally have never seen a guy do what he's done. I've never seen it. And the thing is, a lot of people that were commenting, like, oh, like, what are you talking about, man? Like, you're insane, you're this, that. They weren't there for what I saw. Like, and I'll say this, and I mean, you know this. It's different when you watch a game and you're there, and when you watch it and it's on a stream or it's on TV.
Yeah.
I saw this kid, and honestly, like a lot of people were like, oh, well, he wasn't playing 17. He wasn't. Let me tell you something. That 16s EYBL group, like across the board, more talent than the 17s. Like, other than, like there are some kids that could be playing 16s that were playing 17s for sure. But I'm saying like that 2025 class has pros in it, like kids that are going to be decent pros. He was literally going through teams by himself. Like, I don't think people understand, like, his brother, I think, is pretty decent, but like his brother's backing you down from half court, bro. That's his game. Like, he doesn't have a bag. He had one kid on his team that could shoot decently, but I'm saying like you had Cooper Flagg and then you had maybe D1 players. Like, the gap was crazy. He's going against teams that have 2, 3, 5 stars. Almost everyone on the team has a D1 scholarship. He had one or two kids on his team with scholarships. And it wasn't like, oh, this kid has a scholarship from University of Florida, this, that. It was scholarships to schools like Maine, which was their home state. I don't think people really understood like what he did. And obviously it wasn't E17, it wasn't, whatever, but he literally carried his team to the Peach Jam championship game. He literally carried them, bro. And on top of that, people also don't talk about they beat the Boozer twins at down there. They beat them. They beat the Boozer twins. And yeah, they lost in the championship game. That's cool, fine. But like this kid literally went on, let's say they played 7 or 8 games. They went either 7-1 or 6-1, whatever it was. And it was him. Like, he didn't have breaks. There's days where it's 2 games in a day, and then obviously when you get deep in the playoffs, it's like 1 game a day, 1 game a day. But like they didn't lose. And it wasn't like, okay, like they played well as a team. Nah, they had Cooper. Like, I don't think people really understand like the take I was making. Like, granted, people are sending me footage and they're like, all right, look at this. And I'm like, all right, that's cool. But I'm saying, like, with my own eyes, I've never seen anything like that. Like,
Mm.
dude is getting assists to himself, throwing it off the backboard, dunking it, like coming down, hitting threes. Like, he was doing everything possible for them to win. And it's like, it wasn't just like he was just out there. Like, he was a competitor. Like, he's talking shit. Like, he's hooping, bro. I'm like, all right. And it's not like he's, 6'3", 6'4". Like, we're talking about a 6'8", 6'9" kid, like doing everything. I'm like, and the best defender on the court too. So he's playing both sides of the court. I'm like, bro, the kid just like people would say that. I'm like, all right, he just played the guy that's ranked above him, finished with 30 points, like 15 rebounds, 10 assists, and 5 blocks. Who's doing that, bro? Who's doing that, bro? And I just made those stats up, but I'm saying like they were similar to like stat lines like that. Who's doing that?
Nah, yeah. I mean, I haven't seen him in person. Obviously, I've seen highlights and clips, and like I certain things I see, I'm like, whoa, he's inside outside. Like he's legit inside outside.
I feel like, yeah, he is. I'll say like you're not gonna just go to Duke and walk in there and be the guy unless you're Hollow, unless you're Jason Tatum, unless you're Brandon Ingram. But it's like if he comes in and he does similar things to those guys, like who I just named all-stars. I just named NBA all-stars. Like that, and that's what it's looking like he could do. I do think that he needs to work on his outside shot, like catch and shoot. It seems like off the dribble he was pretty solid. Catch and shoot, it seemed like he needs to work on it, but like he's in, like what, number one player in the country, number two player in the country. You don't think that they're gonna have him in the lab working on that? Like it seemed like he had a good circle, so I think he'll be solid. I think it'll be interesting to watch how he develops and goes in the next level.
Dude, I remember when I first saw Chet at UAA, years ago over at Sportica. And, he's ripping through at the 3-point line, low rip throughs, jabbing through dribble pull ups, like dribble drags at 3-point line, coming off ball screens, with his lanky alien looking self. And I'm looking, and I tweeted right from there after the game. I said, just kind of gave a little recap of what I saw for his game. I said, he's only comparable to Kevin Durant. And people were coming at me. The way this lanky dude was just moving around, just dribbling the ball, shaking people off, shooting the ball. I'm like, I'm pretty sure we haven't seen. And look at what we're looking at now. He's taking people off the dribble, 7 feet. And look at what people are seeing now. And so, again, that take wasn't to say he's gonna be KD. I said the only thing I can compare this to is Kevin Durant.
Yeah, I remember when I saw Chet, I saw him, like someone made a video for him, like when he was playing on UAA, and I remember just like, there's no way, like, because I've seen him because he works with Drew now too. So I saw him that one summer, and he was another guy that could do everything on the court, bro. Like could do everything, and I feel like I won't say I didn't get that same feel from Cooper Flagg. I didn't get like that same Chet feel. But like he's a different player. Like I just think it really comes down to how he envisions himself. And there's things we don't know. I don't know mentally like where he's at. I think that's the most important thing for these guys. And I feel like a lot of people don't like put that into account. But I will say, and I'll stand on that, like from what I saw with my own two eyes for a full week, I've never seen a high school basketball player do that. Like I don't care what you're doing. I did not see you do what I saw that man do. And it was game in, game out. Like it wasn't like he had one bad game. Like how things go. If you have a stretch of 10 games, you're gonna have, like, I'm not saying everybody, but more likely than not, you're gonna have a bad game. And it's not like Montverde where he's got like that team around him. It wasn't that. This was like the team was him. That was Cooper Flagg United. Like that's what that team was. And he didn't have an off game. He didn't have a bad game. So for me, I'm like, any people I know, like way back in the past, we watch like Geico on ESPN when I'm, younger, and I'm seeing, Shabazz Muhammad, and I'm seeing Kyle Anderson and all these dudes playing, and I'm like, oh dang, like these guys are like that. There was a chance that some of these dudes were having bad games. He was not having bad games. Game in, game out, like killing.
I want you to take your time with this one because I want you to get off whatever you feel the need, whatever your spirit feels led to have you get off with this one. Take your time. Give me some of your basketball media pet peeves right now.
I think more than anything, I hate the egos, man. I feel like the egos got to stop. And I feel like it's like, I can't take you serious if you have an ego and you do bullshit online. Like me personally, because I have a business. I feel like a lot of people don't realize, like, I actually own a business. Like I own one. And I'm like, I can't hire you if I can't take you serious and you have an ego because of this and that. Like I feel like, people that don't know me might think, oh, this guy must have an ego or he must this and that. But like I feel like anyone that knows me knows I'm I feel like very genuine. I'm very, like you said, simple. Like I like an easy, simple life. I don't really believe in the whole ego thing. I don't really believe in, if you're around this person or you're doing this, you're better than the next man. I don't really believe in that. So I feel like I don't know when it got to the point where we started having egos because we have cameras and we film basketball players. I just don't know what warranted that. You know, another thing I hate is ownership. When people think that they have ownership over something creative or over a person. So,
Mm.
for example, like, and this has always been weird. And, I always tell people, like, why would you think that? Like, when people will just randomly, like, hit me up, like, hey, man, like, do you mind if I make something for Alex? And I'm in my head, like, bro,
Yeah, yeah.
I will fucking pay you to make him something.
Right.
I think like some of those things I always find it weird because I'm just like, there's not an ownership, bro. Like I don't own this person because I made them a video. Music too. Music, people owning music, like, oh, I use that mix. I use that song on a mix.
Is that really a thing? Because I see people like talk about that, but like, that's really a thing? The song, like just the song?
Just a song.
How could that be? How could that? It ain't like it. How could that be possible? Like you claiming a song, your name ain't on that joint.
It's like, all right, we all know Drake just dropped that album. You didn't expect 10 people to make something with this one Drake song.
Right.
And I mean, that's been a thing like for years. I remember even getting DMs way back, like, yo, do you mind if I use this song? I'm in my head like, I didn't write this. I didn't write the song, bro.
What is it about shooting basketball, Zach? What is it about basketball? How would you explain that?
I don't know, man. It's just different. Like you could shoot other things, but like to me, I always come back to it. It's a comforting thing, but it's something that like it's been a part of me from like ever, like just basketball in general. So I think like shooting it, to some extent has just become like a very like it's kind of part of my identity in a way. Like I just really I enjoy it. I also feel like, like I've met a lot of really, really like dope people through like this, you know what I'm saying? Um, like my best friends, my closest friends, I've met them because I decided to pick up a camera and shoot basketball games. So I think that that's something that for me, like it just goes way beyond just like actually capturing the footage. I think it's like it's given me something that like I know for a fact a lot of people don't have in life.
Why does society need basketball, in your opinion?
I think it builds character. I think basketball, like over anything, like, you know, it just there's just so many good people in basketball. Like obviously there's assholes and there's whatever, but I think basketball is just like the community behind it. Like like no one can convince me that there's another sport like it. Like beyond just, being in the gym or being at a game or anything like that. Like you even just look at like social, like basketball is the most popping sport on social. I think it just brings together community, and I think that basketball is something that everyone can relate to. Like that's something that you have kids and there's lessons you want to teach them. Like there are lessons you can be taught through basketball. So I feel like basketball is just one of those things. um it just transcends just being just ball going into the basket. I think it's a big thing.
Isn't it? It's just booming right now, isn't it, bro? It's just every from high school to women's basketball to everywhere. It's just booming. It's bro. Basketball is unstoppable right now, man. It's booming from in every sector. It's booming.
If you open your phone and you look at all these, it's basketball. Like I know people that are football people, and guess what? I don't know any high school football guys that are supposed to be the top. Baseball, forget about it. But these guys that are baseball, that are football, they know basketball players that are in high school. So that's crazy.
Zach Remy, my guy, man. I appreciate you coming through, spending time with me, chopping it up, tapping in with me, man. Much love, big love from this side. You already know, bro. I appreciate you, man.
Likewise, bro. Always, man. You already know what it is, man.
If you liked this episode of the Basketball Society podcast, I need you to go down and click like, leave us a comment, and subscribe to Basketball Society for more content, breakdowns, interviews, and episodes of the show.